California's Governor Gavin Newsom is promising that he'll implement gun control measures in his state by copying the legal tactics used by Texas to enact what is essentially a ban on abortion.
Nothing I'm about to recommend in any way impinges on the Second Amendment. But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. Now, what is this action, which is very technical, what does it mean for you? What does it mean for you? What is called devaluation, devaluation, devaluation.
My name is Josh Lauderdale, and this is The Conquest. Welcome back, you lab rats, you organic androids. Get in line. Toe the line, motherfuckers. Toe the line because Democrats are here claiming that Joe Biden is the greatest president that's ever been president of the United States. And I'm just sitting here laughing. What reality are they in? I mean, we went over this last episode. What reality are these people in? Now, these claims of Joe Biden being the greatest president ever come after the job report. So on Friday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released its monthly jobs report for December 2021, which showed the U.S. economy regained 18.8 million jobs of the 20 million jobs that were lost at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in April 2020. More than 7 million of the jobs that have been regained since the start of the pandemic were added in the last year alone, according to the Bureau's report. The U.S. economy has been steadily gaining jobs over the past year as the country continues to dig out from the devastating toll by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Bureau found that the country added 199,000 jobs in December, which was below estimates, while revising its previous jobs report numbers to add 39,000 jobs to its November 2021 report and 102,000 jobs to its October 2021 report. The report, which was recorded where U.S. case numbers surged due to the virus's highly contagious Omicron variant, also showed a decrease in the unemployment rate from 4.2% to 3.9% between November 2021 and December 2021. Unemployment, which stood at 6.3% when Biden took office, declined more than 2021. Unemployment stood at 6.3% when Biden took office, and it declined more in 2021 than in any previous recorded year. So, essentially, it's trying to give Biden this credit of getting the jobs back, essentially making the greatest recovery, fastest recovery in the history of the United States that's ever been recorded, even faster than the Great Depression, faster than the Great Recession, 2008-2009 financial crisis. So while Biden and Democrats like to state how great their employment numbers are and the jobs they've created to the reports, it's just an illusion. It's a screen pulled over your eyes inside the metaverse to blind you from the truth. Yeah, we have jobs. We have jobs, apparently. But I'm getting laid off for a week without pay because we have nowhere to put our product. There's no trucks coming in. There's no trucks to move our orders that we have produced. They are all in Canada, setting records to show that this global government deep state takeover is going to continue to be met with resistance. We are not going to just roll over. At least I'm not. Freedom isn't free. There are risks associated with freedom. And the fact that the global government wants to mandate a permanent illogical vaccine with no long-term safety data It seems so counterintuitive because, okay, we have jobs, but there's no truckers to come get the product to move it. We are filled to the brim. We have orders sitting outside on concrete and basically took up our entire, we have no more storage. We're waiting on truckers to come get the product that we've produced. Now, I work at a mine. It's a diatomaceous earth mine. So diatomaceous earth is diatoms or microorganisms that have been fossilized, and then we cook it and turn it into silica sand. Now, silica sand is used for filtration purposes. So pool filters, it's used in all kinds of things. You can use it, it's used in paint for like pigment and filler. It's used to shine brass. So if you work for a brass company, you can use it to shine the brass for a final nice clean product. You can use silica sand for, well, it's also used for things like food processing. So companies like Kraft, that makes mac and cheese, they order silica sand from us that they use to process their food. So yeah, we are completely filled up. It's not that we can't get orders, because we have orders coming in. We just can't get the product moved because Biden and the global government wants to try to mandate an illogical vaccine that has no long-term safety data. I'm saying illogical because there is no long-term safety data. It's not a natural vaccine. It's synthetic. It's synthetic code. mRNA, messenger RNA. But, anyways, the greatest president of the United States who doesn't even recognize the Constitution or recognize bodily sovereignty, The latest jobs report comes after the U.S. Department of Labor revealed on Tuesday that 4.5 million Americans quit their jobs in November, setting a new record. So while Biden likes to say that he's the best president of the United States, the latest jobs report comes after the U.S. Department of Labor revealed on Tuesday that 4.5 million Americans quit their jobs in November, setting a new record. I'm the greatest president ever. Except for there's a new record where Americans quit their jobs. Is that good? Is that a good thing? I don't think so. I don't think that's a good thing at all, And, the passage of legislation like the American Rescue Plan was signed into law in March by President Biden with only Democratic votes in the House and Senate, provided benefits to millions of workers and families affected by the pandemic. However, it didn't really provide any help because we're going to be paying for that, and we are now with record inflation. Oh, yeah. Joe Biden and this administration, they're the greatest ever. Because, that $1,400 or that $2,000 that Biden promised everybody, if you voted for him, he'd give everybody $2,000, but then you only got $1,400. But in reality, that $1,400 wasn't even $1,400. It immediately was less than that. It was immediately devalued every time. So they print in more money. You got $1,400, but that $1,400 wasn't actually $1,400 because all the prices around you rose. So therefore, it wasn't really $1,400 of purchasing power. It was less than that. Purchasing power is more important. It's probably the most important thing about money is your purchasing power. How far does your dollar go? And when they print more money to give it to you, it's automatically devalued. And everything that was in your bank account is now devalued even more. So that $10,000 has gone down 30% in value in just a year or two. So really, you're sitting there, it shows $10,000 in your bank account, but really it's only got the purchasing power of $6,500 to $7,000. You see what I'm saying? In just a year or two. So, I mean, this is the greatest president I've ever seen. I mean, he's given us free money, right? But it's a hidden tax. And then they want to also increase taxes. California is trying to pass a single-payer health care bill in which it'll raise state income tax by up to 3 times its current, state income tax. And that's going to drive out a lot of rich people in California. So I don't know why rich liberals continue to vote for Democrats if they love California. It just doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. And experts have said that financial support has allowed workers to negotiate for better pay and working conditions as the economy has improved. Much of the turnover has much of the turnover has been concentrated in low-paying jobs, as the tight labor market has given workers more levers to seek better job opportunities. Yeah, the Great Reset. So they're essentially saying low-paying jobs, we don't like what you're doing, so you're going to have to go to a different industry. You're going to have to do this or that because we said so. It's called the Great Reset, people, and this is all over the World Economic Forum website, or the New World Order. It's literally a section on the World Economic Forum website called the Great Reset. One point it was called the Great Reset, and then they changed it to the Great Jobs Reset. And now they changed it back to the Great Reset. So, yeah. Go seek a job, pound sand, you burdens on society, you peasants. And here's Nick Bunker. He's the director of economic research at the Indeed Hiring Lab. So he works for the Indeed Hiring Lab, Indeed.com. So Nick Bunker says the great resignation story is really more about lower wage workers finding new opportunities in a reopening labor market and seizing them. Yeah, well, what happens when those low-paying jobs aren't there anymore? Because last I checked, over 5,000 businesses across the U.S. were shut down at one point. 5,000 businesses that will never exist again, which is more than 5,000 jobs, easily. But especially if you have a low-paying job and it's in the oil or some kind of quote dirty industry, you're screwed. So what they want you to do is relocate to a new job, such as it has to be a tech. It has to be a tech job, like computer programming, scientist, stuff like that. Because the Great Reset is all about getting everything automated and computerized. So they need all hands on deck, and that'll really get the ball rolling. And yeah, I mean, this is it, people. It's here. It's working. And if you don't have a vaccine, you're screwed. They keep trying to push these vaccines, and the courts keep striking them down. Instead, the courts don't strike them down immediately. Of course, it takes tons and tons of money, time, and effort to get the court to do their damn job and just go, what the hell are you guys doing? This is not constitutional. Before there has to be lawsuits filed and American tax dollars being paid for their freedoms again after, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people have died for them already, paid with their lives, expecting the courts to do their jobs immediately. However, we got to wait until there's great civil unrest, and it's such a big controversy. It's insanity. When is the courts going to step in and say, hey, this is America? You know, they're attacking Joe Rogan for being on Spotify, for, you know, having conversations with people, and they're claiming that he's spreading misinformation. He's spreading misinformation, which is bullshit. He's not allowed to have a public conversation online with people who have contributed to creating the mRNA vaccines, and he's spreading misinformation because he's talking about, you know, if anybody wants to talk about the scientific method, which is supposed to be met with heavy skepticism, and takes all these different studies and, you know, cross-examines like they do in law, cross-examination of evidence, or cross-examination of, you know, your scientific studies, so that you can ensure that it's not biased. Well, if you try to do that, yeah, you're spreading misinformation. You're challenging the deep state. You're challenging the WHO. You're challenging the CDC. You're challenging China. You're challenging the powers that be. So Nick Bunker, who is talking about the reopening of the labor market, and, you know, Joe Biden claiming, look at how many jobs I've created. No, Joe Biden, you haven't created any jobs at all. You haven't created any jobs at all. This is nothing that you've done. We were sitting at 3.9% before all these lockdowns and mandates and redirection of jobs. 3.9%. You're president now, and we're sitting at a higher unemployment rate. However, not only is it a higher unemployment rate, but the unemployment rate isn't a good unemployment rate. It's kind of like trying to measure GDP, and depending on who you ask, you know, GDP isn't a good measure of how the economy is. It's not a true measure because, yeah, you may have a great GDP as a country, but what does the health of the nation look like? You know, GDP only really takes in account of just pure numbers and statistics. However, is the GDP worth it if the entire country's in the dumps, you know, mentally and socially? Doesn't sound like a very successful country or a very happy country, or, you know, it doesn't make it worth having such a great GDP if everybody's all depressed and, you know, we're being oppressed. You know, if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're killing people now. We have classified people that are anti-vaccine or against the COVID vaccine, to be specific. You're 100% completely anti-vaxxer. You're a terrorist. You're killing people. I remember when Trump tried to close down the country at the very start of the pandemic, and Pelosi was overseas partying, calling Trump a dictator for doing so. And then when Trump tries to reopen the economy, Pelosi saying that Trump is killing people. So he was a dictator to shut down the country, and then he's killing people when he tries to open the country back up. And it's just insane. Like, we're the leaders of the free world. And, you know, Jen Psaki, when, you know, 3 or 4 months ago, she's talking about we're going to be getting the supply chain up and running. Meanwhile, they're trying to mandate vaccines on truckers who don't want to get the vaccine. When 40% of them said hell no, they didn't just say no, they said hell no. We aren't getting the vaccine. And look at what it's doing. It's making it worse. Truckers are creating record the Guinness Book of World Records, they're breaking records in protest of this vaccine and tyrannical mandates. Are we going to live in fear about COVID our entire lives? Because a really good president would actually not be trying to spread fear and, get the anti-vaxxers, they're killing you. If we get the anti-vaxxers, we'll go back to normal. What the hell is that? Seriously, you want to say that you are the best president that's ever lived. Meanwhile, you are literally mimicking Adolf Hitler. Your administration is mimicking Adolf Hitler. I'm serious. Like, this is not, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything to, Jews that actually lived through the times of, being rounded up into concentration camps, but still, it mimics Hitler. It really does. Hate the anti-vaxxers. Oh, free speech. Gotta stomp that out. Joe Rogan. Vaccines. Climate change. Good Lord. What else is there? Oh, yeah. World War III. Nuclear bombs. Zombies. Like, it's insane. It's completely insane. Meteors are going to come strike the earth tomorrow. I mean, I get it. Like, there's true risk out there. There for sure is. COVID-19 is not the biggest threat to humanity. In fact, I would like to say that. I point at big tech and the government are the biggest threats to humanity. No, really. They really are. They're the biggest threats to humanity. Big tech, harvesting everything about you, everything, they're basically mining your brain so that if you ever have a thought, well, it's mined. Oh, thought police. Oh, hate crime. That's hate speech. There's no such thing as a thought crime, people. Jeez, oh. You really think that this is a good idea? Allowing all this data mining? Yo, everybody should be using a VPN. I'm serious. Just use a VPN. It'll be worth it. What is it? Like $10 a month for protection? It's an insurance policy, people. A VPN is an insurance policy, and you may never ever need it, or you may not ever see like the true benefits of it because it's protected you, so you actually don't see the benefits of it. But I promise you, it's going to help you out in the long run. I truly do believe that. And I don't think that and I think that anybody who uses the internet, regardless of your party or religion or whatever, if you're a human being and you use the internet, I highly think that you should use a VPN. Encrypt your data. So what you do though is you have to, when you open up your browser or whatever you do, whenever you use your phone, essentially, make sure you're connected to your VPN and then continue. And then when you're done with your VPN, or whenever you're done searching the web, done doing anything, before you disconnect your VPN or shut your phone, close out of everything. Because if that VPN drops, everything that's sitting there is now unencrypted, and then they can just steal all your information anyway. So make sure you delete everything before you disconnect from a VPN. I mean, at least limit how much data you give up. I mean, come on, people, for real? So, anyways. Yeah, the greatest president. The COVID-19 crisis and the political economic and social disruptions it has caused is fundamentally changing the traditional context for decision making or game theory. The traditional context of game theory, of logical decision making, essentially, it's COVID-19 crisis has, changed and disrupted all of it. So now they're having to scramble around trying to manage the damage. And so here's the thing. The disruption of everything has really highlighted the inconsistencies, the inadequacies, and contradictions of multiple systems, from health and financial to energy and education, and they are more exposed than ever amidst a global context of concern for livelihoods, and the planet. Leaders find themselves at historic crossroads, managing short-term pressures against medium and long-term uncertainties. So, dude, I'm reading this article about how Joe Biden is the greatest president ever, and it's talking about, it's basically complaining and highlighting, well, everybody's decision making is all screwed up. They're not getting the vaccines. The Constitution and all the government agencies are inconsistent and they are contradictory. So we should abolish the Constitution. You see, they've been grooming you for years, talking about how the Constitution was meant to be changed. We should scrap it. We should start all over. We should just ignore it like it never even existed. It's taking your freedoms. It's oppressing you. When in fact, that none of that is true. None of that is true at all. And if you're still in denial about, how important the Constitution is, then I'm sorry, but you should just leave this country, and I don't want you here. I don't want you here. I'm going to be honest. I don't want you here. If you think the Constitution is a burden, I don't want you here. Leave. Goodbye. I don't care who you are. Leave. I'll help you pack. Get the hell out. I mean, it says that politicians are at historic crossroads. Oh, really? This is such a historic crossroad to just be like, yep, all right, we're going back to normal, everybody. We're going to reboot this back up to normal. We're going to continue to, transition to clean energy without a socialist movement or communist takeover. That would be a leader right there. And, it really is. The thing about the Constitution and why China says this all the time. They make fun of our government, our governmental structure because of our Constitution and how our powers are divided, right? And so it really puts a cog in the machine because, policies don't get pushed through very fast at all. It's incredibly hard for the government to change. It's incredibly hard for the government to change its, governingship because of the Constitution. So it has a hard time keeping up with policy changes as technology explodes because all of our powers are divided. It's decentralized power. So it makes it very hard for the government to keep up with this insanity, this insane world, because the speed in which information travels it's instantaneous now. You got jets that can fly from coast to coast in an hour. You got incredible weapon systems. I mean, it's crazy. And China sits there and they get under our skin by talking crap about our Constitution and how our government is designed, saying that we can't keep up. Well, that's a fallacy, because as we see from history, it's never been the case that any one power or having a centralized power, centralized authority of power, it doesn't turn out well for the majority of people, over a long period of time. In the eyes of like oppression, like true oppression, and freedom. Yeah, civilizations have thrived, and there's been great empires like the Mongolian Empire, the British Empire, the German Empire, the Chinese Empire, the Ottoman Empire. Go down the list: the Aztec Empire, Mayan Empire, the Greek Empire, the Persian Empire, and all the other empires. I'm not saying that everyone's going to die, but I'm saying that centralized power is not a good thing, and we keep seeing patterns throughout history that suggest that decentralization is the way to go. I mean, when was the last time that something sprung up out of nowhere? That was decentralized power. It was based on the principle and theory of decentralized power, in a way, much of the way that our country is designed, decentralized power with power, branched government, legislative, executive, and judicial. So, that's decentralization of power, because that is key. It's key for freedom and, justice, really. So when was the last time that we saw this, decentralized, the concept of decentralization? Well, we had something spring up out of, centralized power. It was actually caused, again, by centralized power, centralized banking power, and this thing that was created to decentralize the power of, banking and money was Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin to decentralize the power of the money supply. So he made it a global monetary currency, because that's the only real way that you can really have something decentralized on the internet. It would have to be a global effort, because then it would just be centralized again by one country. So what he did was he created a currency that could be decentralized, so that centralized power won't corrupt the network. Centralized power can't devalue the network as easy. So we got plenty of examples of how decentralization is actually a really, really good thing. They say don't keep all your eggs in one basket in the stock market. Now that's decentralizing your bets. You're decentralizing your bets, because centralization is generally not a good thing. However, there's a plethora of advantages of being centralized. We may go into that a little bit more detail later. But all this pandemic at historic crossroads and all this nonsense, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's full. The World Economic Forum is the United States long-term plan. So what crossroads are we at? When our government just goes with whatever the World Economic Forum says, or whatever the WHO says, or the CDC says, or whatever NATO says, and apparently Joe Biden thinks that he can just wage war and send 8,500 troops over to Ukraine because of his authority, when he doesn't even have the authority to wage war. The Congress has the ability to wage war, not the president, not a single administration. So until we get congressional approval to send 8,500 troops overseas, this alert status of the troops is actually just a farce. It's unconstitutional, and the president does not have war powers in times of peace. We're literally at peace right now. Are we at war with anybody? Huh? Enlighten me. Are we at war right now? No, we just drew out of a war, and then now Biden wants to go back to war with his administration. It's insane. Joe Biden does not have the authority to wage war. You know, I really dislike NATO. I really do not like NATO. You know, they sit there and they mooch off the United States. Everything that happens in NATO rests on the United States decisions because we're pretty much the leaders there. However, when there's an attack on, so NATO, for those of you who don't know, NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization that was created by, I think, John F. Kennedy in response to the rising Soviet Union and China. And it was designed to create some kind of treaty and alliances to prevent a China or Soviet Union takeover of the world. Now, here's the problem. So we have the Constitution who gives Congress, that it only gives Congress the authority to wage war in times of peace. However, NATO has also their own, policies about waging war. One of the policies is that if anybody in the NATO alliance, if any country gets attacked by another country, that country is allowed to go to war with the attacker. Just like in 9/11, we were, quote, authorized by NATO to go to war in Iraq and Afghanistan because we were attacked on our own soil. Since we were attacked on our own soil, here's where the president's power the president does have the power to wage war. Attacked on our own soil, president wages war in a swift response. However, there's 90 days. I believe it's 90 days. Congress has 90 days to approve or disapprove. So we can initiate a fast response to an attack. However, the ability to continue a resistance or a counterattack, Congress has 90 days to make up its decision. So even then, still, the president still doesn't have the authority to continuously wage war by himself. And I don't want any of the millennials to forget that, because these government officials they're going to mug you. They're going to take your bread. They're going to take your bread, dog. I mean, here, you don't believe me? They're not going to take your bread? Here's the greatest president ever, Joe Biden, apparently. So let's hold up. Let's look at, since we're looking at unemployment, I'm going to bring this back to the unemployment just a little bit. We're going to look at the best and worst states for unemployment. So the best states for unemployment, meaning they're the best employed state or the lowest unemployment rate. So the best has the best has the lowest unemployment rate, and the worst has the worst unemployment rate. So we're going to go down the list of states here, and we're going to be saying for each state, I'm going to tell you which party rules this state. So if it's a Republican state, for example, Utah is a Republican-controlled state. And then there's, states like California who have a Democrat-ruled state. So they have majority of the state, and they have all the power. So let's go down the list of unemployment by state. Let's go down the best rankings, state by state, of the best unemployment rates. So they're going to have the lowest unemployment percentages in the country. So sitting at number 1 We got Nebraska, and that's a split state. Number 2 was the second lowest unemployment rate. We have Utah, Republican. Oklahoma, Republican. Idaho, Republican. South Dakota, Republican. Vermont, split. New Hampshire, split. Alabama, split. Georgia, split. Montana, split. Wisconsin, split. Indiana, Republican. North Dakota, Republican. Minnesota, split. We got our first Democrat state here, right here. All the way down at 15. Democrat state, Virginia. Arkansas, Republican. Missouri, Republican. Iowa, split. Kansas, split. South Carolina, Republican. North Carolina, split. Wyoming, Republican. Kentucky, split. There's only one Democrat-controlled state in the top 25 states. There's one. In a lot of these split states, well, they're quote split, but they really are generally more Republican than Democrat. Like, let's look at Alabama. That's more Republican than Democrat. Wisconsin. Oh yeah, Wisconsin. I don't even know what they are. Never mind. Anyways, let's look at the worst. And so for the best, we had in the top 25 best unemployment rates in the country, they were either Republican or split, so they weren't ruled by Democrats. Essentially, none of them are ruled by Democrats except for one on the list for the best unemployment rate. Now let's look at the worst. Number 1, California, the worst unemployment rate. Democrat, of course. Tied with number 1, Nevada, Democrat. They're, people, I'm from Nevada, and we're supposed to be like a swing state, but we're really not. We always vote Democrat. That's because of Reno and Las Vegas. Everywhere else is red except for Vegas and Reno. And the cities rule the state. So it's a Democrat state. It's no longer a swing state. So number 1, California and Nevada, Democrat. New Jersey, Democrat. New York, Democrat. New Mexico, Democrat. Connecticut, Democrat. Hawaii, Democrat. Michigan, split. Alaska, split. Pennsylvania, split. Even though they have a Republican governor, however, Pennsylvania is a Democrat state. They're Republicans in disguise. Illinois, Democrat. Maryland, split. They're also more. I lean towards Maryland being more Democrat. So we got our first Republican state here, Texas. And Rhode Island, Democrat. Louisiana, Democrat, or split. So we had one Democrat state out of 25 states being in the best unemployment rate. And we had one Republican being in the worst, Texas. However, Texas is still a kick-ass state, I'm going to be honest. So tell me, how is Joe Biden the best president ever when his entire party is on the losing column? His entire party is on the losing column for unemployment rates. So please enlighten me how Democrats are going to help steer this country into the right direction. If anything, there's the evidence that I'm looking at right here says otherwise. But, you better line up and get your vaccine. They're saying that we're all at historic crossroads. What is the long-term plan other than this pandemic? Does anyone know? I'm going to say it again. Our new long-term plan is the World Economic Forum. Oh, you didn't get asked if you wanted this to be the plan? Oh, it doesn't matter because it's happening. The New World Order is here, people. The New World Order is here. It's full of communist and socialist countries. I mean, what's the difference? And lives? Yeah, the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum wants to talk about lives. The World Economic Forum wants to talk about lives? They want to talk about lives. Lives, lives, lives. We need to save lives. Well, okay, let's talk about lives. Let's talk about the manufactured medical supplies that saves lives, such as ivermectin, monoclonal antibodies, and hydroxychloroquine. And, depending on the doctor you ask, they'll either back up hydroxychloroquine or not. However, most of everybody knows that ivermectin works, and so does monoclonal antibodies. So why is it so difficult for people who just get COVID-19 vaccine to just get these treatments and get them back out on the street recovered with new boosted immunity? Huh? Because that would sure save lives. But it's not a vaccine. Because ivermectin is only a couple cents on, a couple cents. There's generic brands. With the vaccine, there's not. So they can charge more people, they can charge more. And the World Economic Forum, they like to talk about lives. When abortion, because the World Economic Forum is all about Planned Parenthood and, responsible reproduction is what they say. So in other words, they want to control reproduction. And, abortion kills more people than guns by far every year. Abortion, depending on the year, fluctuates between 600,000 to 900,000 deaths a year. Yes, I'm saying 600,000 to 900,000 people are killed because of abortion every year. And you know that the global international order, they don't like guns, of course. That's why they want to take them away here so that they can get all the power and rule you. And I'm looking at the gun death statistics, and they don't even equal that of abortion deaths in 10 years. So a total of 10 years worth of gun statistics and gun deaths don't even come close to 600 to 900,000 deaths a year. Most of the deaths that occur from gun violence are actually suicides. It's not somebody else killing somebody else, generally. The large majority of them. It's not, sucking a fetus out of you and then grinding it up into a grinder and then putting it into a jar as if it's a trophy. The Second Amendment is here and it's going to stay here. And it says shall not be infringed, which means it's absolute, and it means it's absolute at all costs. That's all I'm going to say. And don't be fooled if the Fed if they ever say we need to temporarily, give them up, because and nothing in, government is temporary. The temporary suspension of gold hasn't been so temporary now, has it? The temporary 14-day shutdown wasn't temporary either. Nothing about COVID has been temporary. I mean, this is the new normal, people. They've said it from the beginning. Better get used to this. And what they want is people to get tired of fighting back and resisting and hearing about it every single day that you just give up and give in. But that's not me, baby. That's not me. So I'm going to up my pushback, because this is just, I can't get over this. There's so many things going on. It's so hard to focus on one topic. I mean, this episode is mostly about, Joe Biden talking about himself being the greatest president ever, that's going to lead us to victory. Meanwhile, he's literally giving up all of the American power and authority in the world any credibility we have, we're giving it up. I'm going to make a whole show on Ukraine and Joe Biden and how the administration is handling that next. But let's just say I highly disapprove on how it's all unfolded. But, I'll make a show on that next. Here's from the World Economic Forum. We're going to go back to the World Economic Forum because this ties in with unemployment, and it ties in with the vaccine mandates, and it ties in with everything. So here's from the World Economic Forum. At this pivotal moment, I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must continue to fight against the global pandemic. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero. We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must know the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development. This was, the leader, one of the leaders of the World Economic Forum, the New World Order, Klaus Schwab. Yeah, he's talking about biodiversity and deploying nature-based solutions. Nature-based solutions? I laugh in this guy's face. Nature-based solutions. Is this guy serious? I mean, seriously. Preserving biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions. Okay, then stop globally mandating this unnatural vaccine. We must know the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve sustainable development. Okay, yeah, I'm tracking, it. And it's caused by inflation, because when all these big bills get pushed, they all get pushed into the pockets of the global elite. And meanwhile, it diminishes the people, the low-paying income or the low-income citizens. It diminishes all their savings that they've been trying to, accumulate. However, the depreciation, the savings accounts of the global elite and the billionaires, it doesn't matter to them. They got so much money, it doesn't even matter. However, it matters to the low-paying jobs. You got 10 grand? No, you don't. Not in 1 year. Your 10 grand actually went down to 7,000, and then next year that 10 grand that just went down to 7,000 is going to go down another 20%, and then another 10%, and another 15%, and another 20%. You see what I mean here? There's absolutely no transitory. I don't believe that there's any transitory aspects in inflation at all. Inflation goes up, costs go up, savings go down. What's transitory? Enlighten me. Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury, you're garbage. I'd like to tell you, you are trash. No debt ceiling? They want to go to no debt ceiling. This is the greatest administration ever. No debt ceiling. What? Yo, we might as well just use beach sand for money. That doesn't really have a debt ceiling, does it? Oh my gosh. Oh man. No debt ceiling. I just want to repeat this. No debt ceiling. No debt ceiling. No debt ceiling. Yeah. Woo! Oh baby. Oh. No debt ceiling. Jeez, oh man. Jeez, oh. I can't get over that. $600 monitor $600 transactions. Yeah. No debt ceiling. Yay. Inflation. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. Best president ever. So it's just crazy. The World Economic Forum is such a joke. The pivotal moment, biodiversity, unnatural vaccine. We're gonna make you get this unnatural vaccine. You anti-vaxxers. We're gonna, in Dr. Fauci's eyes, out of his words, this is gonna take 10 years to implement. Agenda 21 was successful, and now it's Agenda 30. The agenda moves forward. So, I mean, this isn't a conspiracy, people. They're saying it out loud. All right, we're going to go back to this. Nature-based solutions. What nature-based solutions? Gene editing. Nature-based solutions. Neuralink. I mean, yeah, I get it. Neuralink could be, honestly, the technology of Neuralink could be extraordinary for a lot of people. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying, natural solutions. We're talking about, instead of eating healthy and, exercising, we're talking about pumping your bodies full of vaccines and medical, pills and all these other types of medications. Oh, you're depressed? Don't worry. We got a medication. Oh, you got a fever? Don't worry. We got a medication. Oh, you got a rash? We got a medication. Oh, you got a virus? We got a vaccine. Oh, I mean, instead of, telling people to work out, exercise, work out and exercise, eat right, take care of your body, make sure you eat, good healthy foods, you don't promote that. That doesn't give Big Pharma any money. It doesn't give the government more power now, does it? The wealth gap. Charles Schwab, however you pronounce this joker's name. It's basically a George Soros. However you pronounce his name, well, he's a freaking moron. He's a complete moron. And it's all just smoke and mirrors on their website. It's an unnatural vaccine, and he's sitting here talking about being natural. Not nature-based solutions. What nature-based solutions is anybody coming out with? I'm being serious. What nature-based solution has come out recently, huh? Please enlighten me. Let me know. I mean, in a way, the Johnson & Johnson was a nature-based solution, that vaccine, because it was based on an actual virus and not some, nanobiotechnology. That was nature-based, but was that even approved from the FDA? No. That vaccine, actually, the way that they did that vaccine has over decades and decades of research on it in long-term safety data. But that wasn't approved first by the FDA. It was the experimental one with absolutely no long-term safety data. With these vaccines, who else is buddies with the World Economic Forum? I'll give you a hint. Of who's buddies with the World Economic Forum. I'll give you a hint. Moderna. This is a person, not a company. I want you to see if you can find out who this person is. Here's the hints. Moderna, Microsoft, CDC, World Health Organization. Any guesses, anybody? Bill Gates. Bill Gates. All right. So who wants you to be absolutely You know, who wants you to absolutely be vaccinated more times than he is? Bill Gates, the CDC. 75% of the CDC doesn't even go to work because they don't even believe in the vaccine. This is an actual, interview. The CDC doesn't even want to go back to work because they don't have confidence in the vaccine. So they work from home. However, you must get it because it'll save your life. But yet they won't even go to work. Huh, that's interesting, huh? But you need to be updated. You need to update your body. Their words. So, Bill Gates. Let's talk about Bill Gates. For those of y'all who don't know. So, who is Bill Gates? Well, everybody knows who Bill Gates, but I think the real question is, who has a patent on technology designed to mine you like a machine from the Matrix? Bill Gates. Or it's more Microsoft, which Bill Gates isn't part of Microsoft anymore. Well, he doesn't own Microsoft anymore. But people out there, Bill Gates is still an advisor. He's still an advisor. He's on the board of advisors for Microsoft. He's still part of Microsoft. So yes, Bill Gates has a patent on this technology designed to mine you. I'm not making this up, and it's a real patent. It's on Google Patents. And this patent is by Microsoft, and the patent number is WO2020060606. WO2020060606. Now, this patent World Order 2020-060606, it's not broken down like that. Well, it is. It says WO 2020-060606, but you can, dude, I'm not, where do they come up with these numbers? Did somebody pay extra money and name the patent number this? WO stands for World Order 2020, the year it is issued or initiated, 2020 06060666. The devil, and this is all 666, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, whatever. 2020 World Order takeover. The devil. This is a real patent number. I'm not just making this up. You can go look Google Patents. WO 2020-060606. This patent is a patent for technology that essentially mines you. Now, it's a cryptocurrency. It's got a cryptocurrency, of course. Anything new anymore has got to have its own cryptocurrency. And the World Economic Forum and Bill Gates want to talk about financial inclusion for everybody. Especially if you're in a low-wage job. They seem to be focused on low wages, people who make low income, which kind of concerns me. They should focus on everyone, but no, it's focused on low-paying jobs and get the peasants in line, get them in line for this vaccine, and then trick you, and boom, you got this new nanotech inside of you that's going to mine you. No, I'm not saying that this is how it's working, but everybody is so willing to line up, toe the line, get your vaccine when they don't even know the vaccine. Oh, what is misinformation? Oh, it's anything that goes against the mainstream narrative, right? You can't talk about, hey, look at all this nanotech that's out there. You're just going to line up and then take somebody's word for it who doesn't look out for you at all, who's never came to your doorstep and helped you out. You're just going to line up and then take their word for it. This is literally, this is how crazy this is. It's like going out onto the red light district, and this is basically the red light district in Italy, or I think it's in Italy. The red light district meaning being that it's like a prostitution street, essentially. The red light district. It's where it's kind of like this. Yeah, I mean, it's like an alley. It's like a back alley um, of shenanigans, essentially. It, people are just so willing to line up, like it's Russian roulette, like you're, prostitution shopping, and it's just Russian roulette. What you get is what you get, and you're just literally rolling the dice. People lining up for a vaccine, you're just rolling the dice, hoping that what they say is true. And it's dangerous because the same people who are telling you to line up and get the vaccine have patents out there designed to mine you with nanotech. So let's get into this, because the world order, patent WO2020060606, I mean, here's the overview of it. Here is the abstract of the patent. I'm going to read you the patent. All right, so human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in a mining process of a cryptocurrency system. A server may provide a task to a device of a user which is communicatively coupled to the server. A sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised of in the device of the user may sense body activity of the user. Body activity data may be generated based on the sensed body activity of the user. So like body heat, for example. So when you start moving around and your body starts, you start doing an activity, your body heats up. So it can actually sense that, you're moving around. Your body is producing some kind of activity. The cryptocurrency system communicatively coupled to the device of the user may verify it if the body activity data satisfies one or more conditions set by the cryptocurrency system, and award cryptocurrency to the users whose body activity data is verified. So yeah, this is literally telling you that they're going to mine you and you'll get paid for it, essentially. Now, this could be nanotech. This could be something like Neuralink that senses, your brain signals or brain patterns, your electrical patterns. Now, if you haven't listened to the last episode, the metaverse, I talk a little bit about mind control and the technology and stuff that's happening in that new field. Well, not new field, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So go check that one out. But I'm sitting here, the Matrix. This is going to be part of the Matrix. If you go to work inside the metaverse, you'll need to be paid by your body activity data inside of the metaverse. However, your actual body, that's not an avatar, is going to be mined for body activity data. It's like, okay, so if they can't mine you in the Matrix, or the metaverse, they're gonna mine you externally with, this new patent. So let's continue reading this. Cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Now I'm gonna repeat this. This is a patent by Microsoft. Who's on the board of advisors for Microsoft? Bill Gates, who is part of this big nanotech, biotech vaccine movement, big supporter of Moderna. Bill Gates, who was in bed with the World Health Organization and the CDC. Bill Gates, who's in bed with the government? Bill Gates. All right, so like he's like some big like philanthropist, right? But yet he's not coming out and speaking against, vaccine mandates. Of course not. Of course not. We're all going to line up, toe the line, and they're going to give you this patent WO2020060606 if we allow them to just boss us around and, essentially recreate Nazi Germany, where we hate anti-vaxxers and we hate liberals and we hate Republicans. We just hate each other. But you got to line up for this, and people don't even know what tech is actually out there that has patents on it. And yeah, it may not be 100% like developed technology yet, but like it's gonna get there. I promise you, it'll get there. And this will be introduced to you some way or the other. I mean, what's the point of putting a patent on something if you're not going to try to push it on the market or the public? It'd be pointless. So this cryptocurrency system using body activity data. So let's give you a little bit of background on it. And this is still from the patent. So let's give you a little background on it. All right. So, cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Background. A virtual currency, also known as a digital currency, is a medium of exchange implemented through the internet, generally not tied to a specific government-backed fiat, or fiat meaning printed currency such as the US dollar or the euro, and typically designed to allow instantaneous transactions and borderless transfer of ownership. One example of virtual currency is cryptocurrency, wherein cryptography, hence cryptocurrency, cryptography is used to secure transactions and to control the creation of new units. So it's controlled scarcity, or it's controlled inflation. Inflation isn't always bad, but I do not like unpredictable inflation. And really, inflation doesn't really mean that a currency is inflationary. You can actually have a deflationary currency, but there's still inflation. I mean, that's how gold was. It's a deflationary currency. However, there's a very limited and controlled, income of that, or quote, creation of that. So it's not an inflationary currency. It's actually deflationary. But anyways, that's what fiat is it's inflationary money, or the US dollar or the euro, something that's not naturally scarce, or it's controlled by a government, right? It's just a government currency. Let's just put it that way. Fiat is a government inflationary currency. So that's what crypto is. It uses cryptography to, secure and allow instantaneous transactions and borderless transfer of ownership. Several cryptocurrencies exist. Of course, there's thousands of them now. Among these, the most well-known is a blockchain-based currency. The most blockchain-based cryptocurrency is decentralized in the sense that it has no central point of control. However, blockchain-based cryptocurrency can also be implemented in a centralized system having a central point of control over the cryptocurrency. So it's going to just be a centralized blockchain. So basically, it'd be no different than your dollar in your bank account, your digital dollars in your bank account. It would just be on a blockchain that you would never even look at, so you wouldn't even see it. It's just on a blockchain and it's centralized. So anyways, Bitcoin is one of the examples of blockchain-based cryptocurrency. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency, and that's very important to note. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency, and it was described in a 2008 article by Satoshi Nakamoto named Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And a blockchain is a data structure that stores a list of transactions and can be thought of as a distributed electronic ledger that records transactions between source identifiers and the destination. So from one person to the other. And it basically just records the transactions and validates those transactions, making sure that those Bitcoins are actually real, authentic, before allowing the transfer to happen in the first place. Miners are constantly checking nodes to make sure that that Bitcoin is on the network, it's been created, it exists, it's decentralized. All right, now send it. You don't have to wait on a bank to essentially validate your transactions. It doesn't need to confirm your transaction over, several days. Bitcoin does it instantaneously on the blockchain now. Computer resources maintain the blockchain and cryptographically validate each new block in the transaction contained in the corresponding block. This validation process includes computationally solving a difficult problem that is also easy to verify. Well, there's Mark Zuckerberg telling me I've been out of the metaverse too long. Come back. Anyway. So basically what happens is it has to solve this very difficult problem, but it's essentially guessing and checking. And once it solves this problem and that transaction is validated and confirmed because somebody found the answer to it, it's real, and then the transfer takes place. Essentially, it's not the best explanation by far. I'll get into that a little bit more, but if you're interested, but I don't think that's very important. Anyways, they're talking about this cryptocurrency, and they're talking about how it's going to talk about the mining of the cryptocurrency of Bitcoin takes massive amounts of electricity and power. It takes massive amounts of computational energy. So that's a problem apparently, and in the Matrix, in the Matrix, how the machines were mining the people for their electricity, right? To power the machines, because humans create electricity, so they're going to harvest your electricity to run. But, they're going to take it a step further. They're going to mine everything about you. Like, literally the Matrix. They're going to mine you. So they're literally talking about how the external mining is too computationally energy insufficient. It's not, or inefficient. So we're suggesting about mining the human body. Concept 1. A cryptocurrency system comprising one or more processors and memory storing executable instructions that, if executed by one or more processors, configure the cryptocurrency system to communicate with a device of a user, receive body activity data, which is generated based on body activity of the user, wherein the body activity is sensed by a sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised in the device of the user. Verify if the body activity data of the user satisfies one or more conditions set by the cryptocurrency system, and award cryptocurrency to the users whose body activity data is verified. So if you download the app called Sweatcoin, what Sweatcoin does is it counts your steps, and what it does is it gives you these points, or what they call Sweatcoin, inside this app, and then you can use those, points as a currency, but you are technically using those points as essentially a discount for products or goods or services within the Sweatcoin app. So you may, promote your product on Sweatcoin with a discount, and then you may charge Sweatcoins for those discounts, kind of like a coupon. And for a certain percentage off, and if it's a service, you may okay, so we will accept 15 Sweatcoins for 3 months off, and then after that, your subscription, you will be charged for real money. But Sweatcoin basically awards you for body activity data, by validating your step count. So that this cryptocurrency is going to take it a step further. Instead of just validating your steps through your phone shaking in your pocket when you walk, they're going to put a device in you that can sense body heat, that can sense brain waves. Yeah, brain waves. Essentially mind read you and then reward you based on those. So if you have a brainwave that they don't like, or a brain pulse that they don't like, social credit score goes down. Your social credit score is going to go down. And, the social credit score implemented in China, this is kind of like what it's going to be like. And this patent would make this social credit score, they just did this patent like a social credit score. Oh, did you work out for an hour today? Social credit score goes up, and you're awarded this cryptocurrency to mine, or that mined you. So, if you didn't work out, then technically they could probably, since it's centralized, they're talking about it being centralized, so they could just take away your cryptocurrency at will. These are the things that are coming, right? So it's talking about awarding cryptocurrency to the user whose body activity data is verified. Concept number 2. The system of any preceding or succeeding concepts wherein the body activity sensed by the sensor comprises at least one of body radiation emitting from the user, body fluid flow, a brainwave, pulse rate, or body heat radiation. So they're literally talking about how they're going to mine you. They can mine you using body activity sensed by the sensor that comprises of at least body radiation, body heat, body fluid flow, increased blood circulation, which would also produce heat, by the way, or a brainwave or a pulse rate, So, damn it, that probably made a loud noise. I bumped my mic, which I'm trying not to do. I'm trying not to bump my mic as much, because this mic will, if you barely even tap it, it'll make a big old sound. I don't know if you heard that, but it'll make that sound. Anyways, so the system, this patent, WO2020060606, I sound like a freaking lunatic conspiracy theorist. Talking about the Matrix, talking about mining you, talking about, we literally shot and went to war with people who wanted to monitor you in your own home. And now we're sitting here with, phones and all these devices that literally monitor you. And companies like, whoever makes Alexa, I'm not sure, have gotten in trouble for literally spying on you through their technology. And yet we're fine with that nowadays. So, why not go farther? Why not? Why not just line everybody up? Financial inclusion, right? This is how we're going to make it this is how we're going to financially include everybody. We're going to force them to use this beast system. It's like a system of how they're going to control you, and how they're going to reward good actors and punish bad actors. If you want to, you have to go listen to my last episode when I talk about mind control and brain waves. Well, I didn't really talk about brain waves, but I'm reading this book called Electric Brain right now, and It's very interesting. It's talking about how they can read minds and implant ideas and memories into people's heads with brainwaves, or because of brainwaves. The study of brainwaves. And so here it's talking about they can mine you based on body fluid flow, a brainwave, or pulse rate. And then you combine, Microsoft, big tech, with Facebook, big tech, Tesla, or Neuralink, big tech, the World Economic Forum and their globalization. It's on there, like the whole agenda is literally on there. And all you got to do, it's like a puzzle, just put all the pieces together and then look at it from a global context of all this information. It's very out in the open, people. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. There's a patent out there that is going to mine you. Plenty of them. This isn't the only one. And so, like, Bill Gates and all this, oh my gosh, dude. This is insane. Like, go look this up. Patent WO2020060606. If this is not alarming to you, like, there's people thinking about mining you, and this is not alarming to you, I question you. Like, I don't know if we can hang out anymore because, you might stab me in the back because you're being mind controlled over there. Not alarmed. You might stab me in the back when I turn around because I'm an anti-vax, or I'm not anti-vaxxer, but I'm not vaccinated. But I have, 75 other vaccines, but yet I'm anti-vaccine. I'm an anti-vaxxer and should be excluded from, social gatherings. I should be excluded from concerts. I should be excluded from everything else that's fun. Hell. Shit, you might not be able to buy a car here in the future if you don't have your vaccine or a vaccine passport. I'm gonna have to go to I'm gonna have to go over to the United States, also known as a state that's red, and buy a car. And then I'll probably get taxed up the ass from California because I didn't pay my California tax. Yeah, shut up. I mean, California is so crazy. They want to do the single-payer healthcare system, triple your taxes, and they also want to ban lawnmowers. I can't make this up. I mean, this is the best president and best, party that the United States has ever seen. Let's all line up and get vaccinated, and let's line up to get mined with a patent WO2020060606. Are they trolling people? Are they just asking for conspiracy theories? Because, if they are, then good job. Or if this is supposed to be like legit, like a little bit of a warning, or kind of be like, I don't even know. But I don't know. Tell me what you think, because this is insanity. This is complete insanity. Complete insanity, people. What is going on? It's a system of any preceding and or succeeding concept wherein the one or more conditions comprised of a condition. Dude, what the hell are they talking about? Okay, I'm done reading that because this is what's going to happen. They're going to mine you, and they're going to use, people who think that, well, how can we mine our body doesn't produce enough to power anything. Yeah, it does, because I think I read somewhere that, throughout our lifetime, our body actually produces enough electricity to... Okay, so real quick, because, so this got lost somewhere, so I got to redo this part. So I looked this up. how much like electricity does our body produce? So I'm not sure about wattage, but it says here that for voltage, because for wattage you need amps and volts. So this is just watts or electrical potential. Our body produces between 10 and 100 millivolts. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, your cell membranes practice a trick often referred to as the sodium-potassium gate. It's a very complex mechanism, but the simple explanation of these gates and how they generate electrical charges goes like this. At rest, your cells have more potassium ions than sodium ions, and it creates essentially a difference in electrical potential in which you need to create amps. So there needs to be a difference of potential for electricity to flow, or really pulse. You know, electricity doesn't really flow. It's more of a pulse. But anyways, so electrical potential, you can say that voltage is the potential for how much electric force that the current will produce. It's very hard for me to explain. That's the best way that I can explain right now. Anyways, it produces about 10 and 100 millivolts. So a cathode ray tube requires about 25,000 volts to... Okay, I had to spit something out real quick. So, all right, sorry guys. All right, let's do this. So the body produces about 10 to 100 millivolts. So that's how much electric potential you have at one time. However, a cathode ray tube requires about 25,000 volts to create a picture on a TV. If the machines could gather millions of electric eels, on the other hand, they'd be well juiced up, and a single eel can produce in the area of 600 volts. Now that's a lot. 600 volts is what, I mean, let's look at, I think your dryers and washer and dryers, they run on 480 volts, 240, 480. And your regular, outlet in your wall is 120 volts. So an eel can... And an eel can produce up to 600 volts. So yeah, it can, that would be able to definitely power a TV. However, for more information on the human's body electrical system and related topics, including Panasonic's human battery research, look over the links on the next page. All right, so here we are talking about WO2020060606 and that patent. So here in this howstuffworks.com article, it's talking about how Panasonic is looking into using human blood to power electrical devices. It's researching how blood could break down sugars to generate power like it generates energy for the human body. This type of human battery could ultimately power nano devices implanted into the body. I can't believe I'm reading this right now. Like, seriously, right here. Okay. So it's talking about here Panasonic's ability, or their research into mining your bodily fluid, your blood, like literally how they're talking about in this patent, to mine you and to power electrical devices, literally like the Matrix. You know, so call me a conspiracy theorist. I mean, I guess I will be a conspiracy theorist. I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist because the mainstream media won't cover it. That makes me a conspiracy theorist because I'm projecting what, my interpretation of what I'm reading. So I'm a conspiracy theorist because it's a different opinion or an idea or a different interpretation and it's quote out of context. Well, I don't know. This seems pretty in context if you ask me. Everything seems pretty in context if you look at the global scope of information and global events. So, yeah. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think because this is crazy. I mean, there's patents all over the place. Nobody's talking about it. Mainstream media ain't talking about it. Nobody is talking about it. Except for right here on The Conquest. And, I heard about this over there on, let's say, what is it? Ground Zero. Ground Zero Media, ran by Clyde Lewis, and he's on aftermath.fm. You can find him, on aftermath.fm, or you can download the Aftermath app, pay for an subscription, but I remember him mentioning this, and I wanted to touch on it because look, Clyde Lewis, he tells really good stories. However, I wanted to go over this just a little bit more in depth or in a little bit different way because, he tells a really great story, but I wanted to give a little bit more information and insight on what this patent is, how it could be used, bring it, into the light a little bit. And I keep saying, I need to stop saying, It's, Well, if you guys know,